my God, is that water on the ground? And is that grass? Good Lord. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and as you saw at the start of this video, it is actually melting out. It was about 3 degrees above zero today, which is surprising because last week at this time we weren't looking at temperatures like this. Also, yesterday we had an extreme cold warning where it was, I think, minus 27 with wind chills into the minus 36, 37, and today it's plus 3. Going forward, this next week, other than tomorrow, is supposed to be a few degrees below. All of next week is above zero, with possibly getting to plus 8 by the end of the week, which, if those temperatures keep up for another 2-3 weeks, we could actually be riding again. So I did something this winter that I have never done before. I've been riding Harleys since 2001, and in all that time I have never done what I did over this winter, and that is I purposely saved up money in order to pay for the gas to drive that bad boy right there. I've never done that before. This is the first year I've ever thought of saving money just to be able to afford gas for the summer. Now, I didn't foresee like a Russian invasion of Ukraine. I didn't see any of these other issues. I did not think gas was going to be anywhere near this expensive. All I knew was it was going to be more expensive than last year. It always is. And in Canada, we have something called a carbon tax that gets put on us to increase gas every year. And I will get to that a little bit later. So I crunched some numbers, and quite frankly, it depressed me. It really did. Obviously, I've never seen gas prices this high. I believe they're the highest that we've ever had in history here. But I went through the numbers anyway. So basically, our gas here in Saskatchewan, Canada, is $1.79 per liter. Now, for those of you who don't use the metric system, that would be equivalent to $6.76 per US gallon. Now, that's just regular gas. Okay, so premium gas here, we're looking at $1.98 per liter, or roughly $7.44 per US gallon, and that's pretty friggin' high. Now, living in Saskatchewan, we're actually in a good spot compared to other places in Canada. Saskatchewan, for those of you who don't know, is right in the middle of the country, and the further you go out to either coast, it gets more expensive. So if you live in British Columbia on the west coast, or you live out in Ontario or Quebec, your gas prices are $2, if not a little more than $2 per liter. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous that we're paying these prices. So even in Saskatchewan, although the prices are high, they're a hell of a lot higher in other places, and it's the same thing going on in other states. Now, if it's just, quite frankly, it's ridiculous, and I think things could be done about this. Now, obviously we have a problem going on in Russia and the Ukraine, and I am not an economist, I am not a politician, you know, but obviously that is causing some of this gas issue. However, we can also look to our governments for some of this stuff. For example, what we have in Canada is called a carbon tax. It's put on by our federal government, and as of April 1st, our carbon tax will come on again, as it does and has for the last few years. and our gas will go up, I think, another 11 cents per liter because of that carbon tax. So our gas is going to go up even higher. Now, the carbon tax is obviously, it is an environmental thing. So the idea behind it is generally the same idea behind taxes on things like tobacco. They want to, in my opinion, they want to punish you for using it. They want to make things like, say, tobacco so expensive that you don't use it. And it's the same thing with gas. The idea behind a carbon tax is to make it more expensive. The more expensive you make it, the less you drive, the more your emissions come down. That is the understanding behind it. So there's a lot more to it, but that's basically how that works. The Canadian federal government was asked, hey, could you guys either, defer this till later on or stop this tax entirely because people are having a lot of financial problems. I mean, our federal government gave out billions of dollars in COVID aid, but at the same time won't help out energy costs. It's, we have a government that comes out and says, Canadians are having such a hard financial time that we need to give out all this free money. Well, what about cutting the cost of gas? Oh, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, we're going to increase it. I think the last carbon tax increase last year was, I think it was 8.8 cents, I think it was. So now it's 11 cents this year, so it's gone up even more. And they're not going to do anything about it, obviously. Now, that brings me to provincial governments, because they can do something about this too. I should say provincial and state governments, because it's the same in the US. Your province or your state is also got tax on your gas. Those governments could take that tax off, or they could decrease it. They could help with this too, but they're not going to either. I think in Canada, Alberta actually did, but Saskatchewan has come out and said, no, right now we're not going to do that. So that's the other thing. I know our tax on gas provincially in Saskatchewan is 15 cents per liter, or roughly 56 cents per US gallon. So that would be a nice little decrease, but of course, if you take that tax off, then the provincial government makes a lot less money, and they're not going to do that either. So what it seems like we have state and provincial governments going against federal governments, both pointing the finger and saying, you take your tax off. No, you take your tax off. And neither one of them wants to do it because they'll lose money to do it. All the while, the Canadian and American taxpayer, regular person, takes the brunt, takes the hit. And actually, oddly, I read that our members of parliament in the federal government are actually due to get a salary raise on the same day that our carbon tax kicks in. I think they're going to get at least $10,000 more a month. So, a year. So good for them. Glad they're getting it. So, and I'm sorry for the doom and gloom, because I hate to talk about this stuff. I really do. And I don't like watching the news on it. I don't like reading about it. But quite frankly, it kind of has to be said. And this isn't just about motorcycles. This is about everything. Like, everybody who drives a car is going to be hit by this. And it's sad, and I think it's ridiculous, and things could be done by our own governments, but they won't. And it's ridiculous, and it begs the question, can a guy even ride this year? Like, I'm not even going to get into our registration and licensing fees, because that's a whole nother video. But I mean, at this point, like, if I did not save up money through the winter, like, I don't know how much I could have rode. Like, it's going to cost, by the time I get on that bike, it's going to probably cost me about $40 to fill that tank. And that's getting a little bit ridiculous, quite frankly. And this was just more of a rant, and I don't like talking about it, and that's all I really got to say about it. I had to get it off my chest, but these prices are just they're getting to be ridiculous, and they're hurting people in a lot of countries, not just mine, not just the US. It's quite frankly ridiculous, and some of these governments ought to be ashamed of themselves, because they're beating the hell out of the regular person. And I just wanted to say something about it, because it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But you know, sorry if I brought you guys down today, but you know what? Why don't you grab a drink and take a few sips, and I guarantee you'll feel better. So anyway, until next time, hopefully I'll have a nicer, happier video for the next time. But until then, we will see you later.